when Kennedy was deciding that he was going to do this backdoor channel thing with Nikita Khrushchev and start issuing orders to disassemble and destroy the nuclear warheads. That when Dulles find out about that, what he does goes to Brown Brothers Harriman and they give the green light, say that's it, that this guy's got to go. And he knew about the S-Force, so that they just targeted the S-Force.
Was George H.W. Bush involved in the death of JFK?
No, he was notified just before it was coming down, as Lyndon Johnson was. They were notified that this was happening because they had said, "Look, he's trying to disassemble the nuclear warheads of our whole arsenal." They all got together, J. Edgar Hoover and Nixon.
Because George H.W. Bush was CIA, and I think he went missing. The rumor was for 12 days, and there's a photograph
he was.
of him
We
in
know
Dallas.
where he was. He was
in Dallas.
He was in a meeting at the ranch of Clint Murchison. Is where not the one in Oaxaca, but the one in Dallas.
So he was helping coordinate this whole thing?
No, he was just being briefed.
Okay.
He was just being told, notified that this was getting ready to happen.
Okay.
And so that's it.
But he had pre-knowledge of JFK's
Yes.
Death?
He did. Lyndon Johnson did. Hoover did.
The Lyndon Johnson thing makes
because
some
it was
sense
viewed
to me.
it was viewed as the patriotic thing to do because he was a traitor in their eyes, and he was actually planning to physically disassemble the nuclear warheads and destroy them. I mean, what a greater act of treason could you do? Doing it on behest of
this is crazy.
Khrushchev.
There's so many angles to
And
this.
so that's why they did. That's why they felt completely self-righteous about it. They deployed the S-Force. The guy that killed him is Roger Morales, who was the dead-eye shot for the team. Off the knoll, and it turns out
he was one of the men on the grassy knoll.
Yeah, that's right, the key guy.
And what's his name?
Morales, Roger Morales. His name
and Cabell is one of Dulles' right-hand men, and there's this weird narrative with him where his brother is the mayor of Dallas.
That's right, Cabal.
And Cabal.
Yeah, that's right.
Was it Cabal or Cabell?
Cabal.
And his brother, the mayor of Dallas, reroutes JFK's motorcade. Is that right?
Yeah, they did. He was involved in the decision to do it. Yeah.
And there's a weird kind of UFO connection there because Cabell, CIA officer Cabell, had seen Blue Book, and he said, this is a super shoddy operation. And this is written up in Edward J. Ruppelt's book.
Yeah.
And so
he actually became part of Blue Book.
Right.
He actually had authority in Project Blue Book to fix the place up and run it. So that's all true. It's one of those data points that you have to look at and say, what does that mean? Does it mean what you think it might mean? How many things could it mean, et cetera? But the bottom line is that Oswald, the most unpopular part of this whole reality is that everybody thinking Oswald was just this innocent guy that just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's not true at all.
Do you think he was brainwashed or coerced, or
No, I think what he did is he realized that there was a plan afoot to have him go up there and take a shot at Kennedy, not to kill him, but take the shot at him. So what they could then do is say, "Oh, look, he's connected to Cuba." That's why he did that fake the Cubans Free Cuba Committee thing.
Yeah.
And that they could blame that.
And he spent some time in Russia.
And then that's right. And then they could run and attack. He thought he was going to be the only one that was going to be taking the shot at him, and then goes trying to run away, and then they were going to eventually catch him.
Though?
Well, he was.
Or was he ideologically down to be martyred or something?
No. He just believed that it was going to work. He was going to get arrested, and then they were going to come to his aid.
Okay.
He was going to get legal defense, and he'd do all these other kind of things. But as soon as he saw Tippit coming for him, he killed Tippit. He shot and killed Tippit.
And Tippit is
the police officer that he killed.
Yeah, right.
Because Tippit was assigned to go get him.
Right. And because he had too much knowledge, you think they got Jack Ruby to kill him?
Yes.
And Jack Ruby, I think, was maybe an MK Ultra patient.
It wasn't required. He was a mob guy. The mob guys were all into the assassination team and everything.
Yes, but
so it didn't require brainwashing him or anything.
Yeah, but it was really odd because he never recalled killing Lee Harvey Oswald, and as soon as he kills him, he's going, because he's a Miami nightclub guy, and all the cops around him are, arresting him, and he's going, "What are you doing? I'm Jack Ruby." And then in his jail cell for 6 months or whatever, he doesn't recall, ever having anything to do with the killing.
Well-
and then he's seen by Jolly West,
I know.
who we know is, ran MKUltra, was in correspondence with
But
Sidney
he
Gottlieb.
he also tried to get to talk to Earl Warren directly to tell him what was really going on.
Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby did.
Well, that's why you get Jolly West in there, and Jolly West spends 24 hours with him in his jail cell. No records of this, and he comes out and he says Jack Ruby has had a psychotic break. And Jack Ruby goes nuts, and he says, I'm hearing Jews screaming on the other end of my jail cell. I think they're dying or whatever. Yeah. And so to me that screams that at least there he was brainwashed. I don't know about prior.
Well, what I'm saying is that with Occam's razor, applying Occam's razor, it doesn't require all of that for him to be directed by the mob
to do the initial killing.
To take out Oswald.
Correct.
To get him the hell out of there.
Correct. In fact, it would probably imply he was lucid and had some knowledge if he were brainwashed by Jolly West, which I think he was. Well, so maybe he was actually aware of what was going on when he killed him.
Yeah.
And then
that's right.
They saw him as a liability, and they had to take him out via Jolly West. Yeah.
So the plan was to simply have Oswald take the shot at Kennedy.
Yeah.
Flee.
Yeah.
Run away. Get away, and have Tippit kill him. Mm-hmm. And so they'd have the lone gunman shot and killed, and it'd be over. It'd be done with, right? Which is the classic MO. Is how you do it, right? But as soon as he saw Tippit coming to see him, he shot him and killed him, and then continued to flee and realized that he was getting screwed because he didn't know there were any other shooters.
Yeah, it is also when you read the transcript of Jackie O coming off Air Force One and being greeted by Lyndon Baines Johnson. Johnson and JFK sort of hated each other by that time.
Sure.
And I do see LBJ as sort of this ruthless guy.
President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded.
Yeah, he was that. He was that.
And like you hear, I don't know, you just read the transcript of him speaking to Jackie O, and she kind of runs into his arms, and seems freaked out. He's like, "They're gonna get us. They're gonna get us all."
Yeah.
And to me, it seems like live action role playing, like a little bit fake.
Jack Valenti. Yeah. Jack Valenti told me all about it.
Okay.
Jack Valenti was with him.
Okay, so that's right.
Jack Valenti was with him. He locked himself in the bathroom on Air Force One. He locked himself in the bathroom and wouldn't come out. And Jack Valenti had to go and get him to take him out of there. And he was going through this whole thing. They're going to kill us all. They're going to kill us all. But he'd already been notified.
Yeah.
The previous night. Yeah. Out at Clint Murchison's house. And there are at least 3 witnesses to testify to that.
So RFK Jr. thinks that his father was not killed by Sirhan Sirhan.
That's right.
He was shot from the back by a guy named Eugene Thane Caesar.
Yeah. I've talked to Bobby about this at length.
Who was coordinating with Bob Mayhew, he was his lawyer.
Yeah.
And so that's a crazy revelation. And I think Eugene Thane Caesar goes on to become a bodyguard at Skunk Works.
He got employed with Mayhew.
Right.
And Mayhew was working with Summa Corporation.
My understanding is that he was working with Mayhew around the time. Mayhew was clearly coordinating with him around the assassination, and then Eugene Thane Caesar went on to work at Skunk Works, but I could be wrong.
Okay,
but yeah,
but I think it was Summa Corporation,
okay.
which is Hughes's operation,
okay,
aerospace operation,
okay.
Summa Corporation.
So yeah, what do you make of that? I mean, that's insane. That's a pretty.
Well, I try not to be insane.
Yeah. No, but it's just like a bombshell, like important, thing that people need to know.
Well, it's interesting. I've talked to Bobby about it, and Bobby was going to go be meeting with the fellow to try to get him to do it, and the guy insisted upon being paid, $10,000. He wouldn't sit down and talk to Bobby at all, and Bobby just blew him off.
Who was the guy?
Yeah,
Eugene Thane Caesar.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
That I was a little surprised. It seemed like it was worth $10,000.
Yeah, that seems worth $10,000.
If you really thought.
Although I could see not wanting to be extorted out of pride.
Yeah, right.
Your father's assassin.
That's what he did. He said, "No, I'm not going to
go
do
away."
Yeah.
But it's a pretty crazy story, and I think the other possibility is that Sirhan Sirhan himself was an MKUltra patient.
Sure.
Because he had spent some time with William Jennings Bryan, not to be confused with the 19th century William Jennings Bryan, but the guy who was probably involved in MKUltra, and I think he was working at the Santa Ana race.
Yeah, we did the only case against MKUltra that won.
What case was that?
That there was a woman who was the daughter of a fella out on Long Island that was a tennis pro, and he, like some tennis pros, was having affairs with some of the women, the wives that were getting trained to be tennis players.
Yep.
And his wife divorced him, and he became totally depressed about being abandoned like that. And he started meeting with a friend of his who was a psychologist, and the psychologist said, you know, you actually need to have a little bit more than just talking to a psychologist. You need to get kind of more counseling. So a friend of mine works at, I'm trying to remember which big hospital it was, big hospital in New York City, something like Sloan Kettering or one of those big.
Yeah.
He said, my friend works there, and so you could go there and take a whole week, be there in residence, and you could have a meeting with him in the morning and a meeting in the afternoon for each day for a week. You know, so he agrees to go do that. Well, it turns out they were doing MK Ultra experiments there at the place. And so that after about 2 days of general counseling with this psychiatrist there, they dose him with a huge mass of LSD without telling him. And of course, he's totally freaked out. I mean, it's hard enough when you know what's happening, right? But he was just freaked out. And they told him falsely that he'd had a psychotic break and that he would have to stay there for a little bit longer, and they would have to help figure out what's going on here. And then like 4 days later, they give him a second massive dose, and he dies of a heart attack.
Jesus Christ.
Okay? And so they're freaking out at the place. And so what they do is they have to bring in lawyers from the Army and from the intelligence community to come in to cover for them. And it turns out that...
What was this guy's name?
I don't remember his name, because I had other lawyers do this for us, right? In the bottom, I've got it in the files, but the bottom line is that the lawyer that came in for the U.S. Army to cover it up, their involvement in this was Jacob Javits, who went on to become the United States Senator from New York. And the other lawyer that was representing the intelligence community was Warren Burger, who went on to become the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court. These two guys came in and covered up that entire event that took place. And when we discovered that in the discovery, the judge said, "That's it. We're not going any farther on this case.
Really?
You know, this is going to settle. You have her tell how much money she wants.
Really?
And you will give it to her."
Because Warren Burger had already become
Yeah.
head of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, that's true.